that speed is your enemy in bulk or mass emailing. In fact, the terms bulk mailing and mass emailing give you a faulty impression. They would lead you to believe that the idea is to send out millions and millions of emails at once, when in fact the trick isn't how many you can send, it's how many you can get delivered. Sending is easy. Delivery requires some forethought. Keep in mind that hundreds of millions of dollars have been invested in technology and software to keep your marketing messages out of people's inboxes. And once you trip the alarms, it's all over. If you go over threshold, it doesn't matter at that point if you're sending out 200 per hour or 200,000 per hour. They'll all be summarily sent to spam folders and eventually blocked entirely. Gmail will even go so far as to reach into people's inboxes and spam folders and pull your messages back out and delete them, if you happen to get them delivered before tripping the alarms by sending too much too fast. So the trick is always to fly under the radar. There's no such thing as sending too slow. It's better to send 150 messages per hour and be able to do this consistently for months than to shoot out 150,000 in one day at lightning speeds and get your IPs and domain names torched and rendered unusable. The second thing you should be aware of is that there are two levels of filtration, the transmission and the content level. Now, most people are familiar with the content level. Trigger words and phrases like sex, mortgage, porn, Viagra, Amway, make money, your income, and others will get your messages assigned spam points. The higher the number of points, the greater the likelihood of your message being classified as spam and sent to spam or junk folders rather than the inbox. Now, the transmission level of filtration is infinitely more important. This is the IP address and the domain name through which your mail is sent. If you can't get past the transmission level of filtration, then the content of your messages becomes immaterial. Let me state that a different way. If your transmission factors are out of whack, you can send a message out with a spam rating of 0, as far as the content is concerned, and it still won't make it to your prospects' inboxes. So how you send is just as important as what you send. The third thing to be aware of is that email broadcasting and all lead generation is a process, not an event. You'll not send out 10,000 emails today and sign up 20 people into your primary MLM business at week's end. The purpose of your initial email is simply to inspire enough curiosity to elicit a click-through to a capture page. If you try to make the sale in the email itself, your results will be poor or non-existent. And if you send your prospect straight to your replicated company-provided site, your results will also be poor. Cold prospects don't know who you are or care what you think, so don't make the mistake of thinking that they are as in love with your company as you are. The fastest way to kill any new relationship is to tell them what they need instead of finding out what they think they need. The capture page's sole purpose is to inspire just a little more curiosity and get them to opt in. This is the beginning of your relationship building, not the end goal. You can find lots of good information on the finer points of these broad strokes, so I won't get into these too deeply here. I'll just show you how I'll show you the basic mechanics of a broadcast email campaign. So here's what you'll need. You'll need a list of emails to which to broadcast. Those are your raw leads. You need a software utility to send out the emails. That's your broadcaster. Now, some software runs locally on your computer, and some runs remotely on a hosting account. It's the latter that I'll be training on today. Thirdly, you'll need somewhere for your prospects to go when they express interest. Now, that can either be a capture page powered by an autoresponder, or it can be a voicemail box if you just want to put a phone number in the emails instead of a web address. That actually increases deliverability if you take that approach. That'll cut down on your lead quantity, but it'll raise your lead quality since the respondents have to physically pick up a telephone and call and leave you their information rather than just clicking. And the fourth and most important piece of the equation is a follow-up plan, because the statistical likelihood of your leads taking action on their own is minimal. Especially in the case of an MLM project, 95% of people who express interest in your business will never join it. So a good lead monetization strategy is a necessity to keep from spinning yourself out of business. More plainly stated, since they probably aren't going to join your business, sell them something that will ostensibly help them with theirs. Money is money as long as it's flowing towards you. Here's a brief overview of my approach. Personally, I only bother with email broadcasting when it's something with mass appeal, like grocery savings or cell phones. And even better than either of those two, is something with a low or no startup costs, which nevertheless creates upfront cash. Now, I'm not here right now to elaborate on or push any specific home business programs, but you're welcome to contact me for my exact strategy. Here's a random tip. If you're pushing a traditional MLM, especially a nutritional, forget about trying to sell your product directly via email. Only an opportunity-focused campaign has any chance of being profitable enough to make it worth the time. Okay, so your first step, underneath this video, you'll find a link that will take you to the Jmailer Pro site. It's marked Step 1. Let me bring this up here for you. Okay, when you click on that link, it'll take you to this screen. You are going to click on Order Now. Your first step is to choose one of these hosting accounts. I don't recommend HostGator, only because their deliverability is great, but they're hypersensitive as far as any kind of email broadcasting software. So if you use HostGator, you do so at your own risk, because chances are that even before the month is over, they'll shut you down. They don't give you a refund either. So I would recommend that you choose one of these others. I have personally used all of these except Midphase. Midphase is a UK-based company. They've got a great reputation. I've just never used them personally. I have used all of the others myself with good results. So you're going to click on one of these links. Actually, underneath this video, there'll be links marked, and if you could use those, that would be appreciated. In exchange, I will actually set your software up for you. So let me back up a step. First thing you're going to do is order your hosting account and domain name. Okay, then you're going to take the domain name and put it here in the Step 2 block. And then in Step 3, you are going to choose, if you're familiar with FTP and cPanel use, you can actually install it yourself here. If you're not familiar with these things, I can actually install that for you. This company will actually install it for you for an additional $10. I'll do it for you for free since you're a subscriber of mine. Once you get your software ordered and it's all installed, once you run the software, you will see a login screen like this. See, it's marked Jmailer Pro. This is an existing account that I have, so I will log in here. You'll choose your username and password during setup and sign up, and you will come to a screen like this. As you can see, it's a place for you to upload. I'm going to click on Edit Settings real quickly here. All of this will be set up for you. If you set it up yourself, or if you have third parties set it up for you, either the company or myself, this will all be filled in for you. So you won't really need to mess with any of this other than the sending defaults. You can have a default from name here. This is probably the only field you're ever going to need to modify. So we'll go back to the main screen. See, this field is marked Upload a CSV. All the leads that you need, or that you use through this software utility, are going to need to be in the CSV format, and that's pretty much the default format that any lead company will send you the leads in anyway. So that works out well. So if you click on Browse, I'll just choose one of these. These are leads that I get from Key2Net. So you just select one, click on Upload File. Obviously, in your case, you'll navigate to wherever you happen to have your leads. Okay. Now this is the title column of the lead file. Not all lead files have them, but most of them do. What these tags over here allow you to do is to customize your email message. You can insert the prospect's first name. By and large, that'll usually be all you need, although sometimes you'll want to insert their phone number. That actually makes a good subject line. If you type something like, if you go something like, first name, are you still at, or rather, can I still reach you at, and then insert their phone number. Now that does two things. First of all, the personalization will likely get you a higher response rate. Second of all, with these variables changing in every message, it reduces the commonality of your messages. So that's another factor that keeps you under threshold. When the ISPs see 100% identical messages flying out from the same location, that tends to trigger the spam alerts, and then you'll suddenly find that all your messages, no matter what the content is, will be going into the spam folders rather than the inboxes. Now, we as marketers tend to check our spam folders, but not everybody does, so the inbox is definitely where you want to be. So you'll type your message. It can really be anything. As you can see, these fields were pre-populated when we got to this screen. That's because we have that all filled out in the settings menu. So we'll just type a message, something like, well, why don't I just use the one that I've been using for ZNZ. Okay, you'll insert your link here for whatever it is you're doing. Now, this next part is absolutely critical. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot something that's almost equally as critical. At the end of your message, you're going to put something, the way I phrase it, and you can phrase this any way you want. My phrasing is, if you'd like to be excluded from future updates, okay, we're going to go down here where it says unsubscribe link. We're going to insert that tag. What that's going to do is give your prospect an automated, or I should say your email recipient, an automated way to remove themselves from future mailings. That's huge. It's entirely automated, so there's nothing that you ever need to do with it. So basically what will happen is if they opt out, if their email address happens to appear on any other list you ever purchase or use, they'll automatically be excluded from your future mailings. So it definitely makes your life more headache free. Alright, so be certain to insert your unsubscribe links. As a matter of fact, the system won't even let you send out an email if you forget, so it's not even something you have to, even if you do forget, it's not going to be the end of the world, because the system will flag you and tell you to go back and put it in there. Okay, this is an HTML capable mailer, so if you know how to design HTML marketing messages, this mailer will support that. I will tell you that HTML messages are the most likely to be filtered, content regardless, so it's my recommendation that you only ever use the plain text message option. Now this part is what's going to make or break you right here. That number is set to 90 by default. You always want to change that to a 45 or lower. I'll say that again. You always want this number to be at a 45 or lower. This is your send rate, and it's going to send out this, whatever number you have in here, it's going to send out this number of messages every 15 minutes. So setting that to 45 means you'll be sending out 180 messages an hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that'll give you about 4,300 messages a day going out. And as long as you as long as your deliverability stays high, which it will if you send these out slowly, sending out 4,300 messages consistently and daily will give you the same net impacts as sending out 50,000 a day faster, because when you send out that many that fast from the same place, most of them are going to get swallowed up anyway by the spam filters, or spam filters rather. So it's better to send out 4,300 a day and have 95% deliverability than to send out 50,000 a day and have 2% deliverability. So once you have your, I'll just review all this for you. These three fields will most likely be pre-populated for you, because that'll be all set up in the settings option on the first screen. So on this screen you'll rarely have to touch these unless for some reason you want to change your from name. Your subject line you'll put in. You can use these tags over here. They're not mandatory, but having these tags to personalize your emails to your prospects. That does two things. It increases your response rate, and it also, increases your click-through rate, and it will also reduce the commonality to the filters, so that it'll be, you'll be less likely to be flagged and trigger any alarms. Type in your message here. Always be sure to include the subscribe link tag, which you can find down here. I recommend always using the plain text option, although the mailer will support HTML messages. And this number here is critical. Always make sure it is at a 45 or lower. Okay, once you have all these things put in place, just click on Start Sending. Over here it'll tell you how many leads are in the list that you uploaded. So there's 2001 there. You hit, and then you will get a screen like this, and you're done. Your mailing is already in progress. You can close this tab, you can close the window, you can reset your computer because the software isn't running on your computer. It's running remotely on the hosting account. So once you hit the Start Sending button on the other screen, you no longer need this window open. What will happen is you can come back and log back in. This number here will update you as it sends out each batch. It'll update this number so you'll know how many are left. And that concludes the practical demonstration portion of this training. I'm going to go ahead and abort this mail.